I was looking around trying to find something to share with you guys. I found a really interesting blog that was also shared on the QBS email internally with us about the differences between the on-premise version and the cloud version, which got me thinking about something to talk about. And it's actually a question that I found in the last 2 weeks doing training to partners, actually a question that comes up quite a bit. So I thought what I'd do is I'd spend a little bit of time just actually talking about what is the differences between the on-premise version as well as the cloud version. So what I've got over here is, just in case there are any questions as well, I've actually got an on-premise version over here as well as a cloud version that we can have a look at and we can mess around with, and we can actually show you guys what the differences are between the two different versions. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask actually at any time. I'm on a virtual machine, so I don't have access to the actual questions. So, Sandra, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to interrupt me at any time. One of the major differences from a partner's perspective between the on-premise and the cloud version, this is something that I touched on the last time, is the demo data. First thing that I want to show with the cloud version is a lot of the times people come onto the cloud version. This is not a question that I get once or twice. This is a question that I get asked at least twice a week, is that the guys go onto the cloud-based version. So this is the local version. And when they go into the local version, they can find all of the manufacturing modules. So you can get into production bills of materials, you can get into production orders, etc. But when you go onto the cloud-based version, a lot of the times the guys go onto the version over there, and when they're trying to find things like production bills of materials, it doesn't show up. The reason is that the cloud-based version, there are, of course, two different versions. So if we go into company information over there, and this might not be news to a lot of you, the partners out there, but if you don't know this, you don't know this. And this seems to be quite a bit of a problem, in that the guys don't know that there is an experience in the company information screen that you need to set over here. So if your experience over here is set to essential, that means that you will not have access to the production areas, the service management areas, etc. So if you're actually demoing the product, and you're demoing the cloud-based version, and you don't get access to any of the service management or manufacturing modules, this is where you've got to go just to change your experience in terms of switching to a premium experience. Only once you've switched to a premium experience over here, will you actually see all of the other functional areas within the cloud-based version. Another thing is I've already switched to the premium version. So if I go to my production bills of materials over here as an example, notice that I don't have any demo data. And this is something that I touched on the previous webinar as well, is that the on-premise based version still has a proper demo database, whereas the cloud-based version has a little bit of a scaled down version of the demo data. I suppose if I had to take a guess at why this is, I suppose the main reason is that Microsoft is giving all the partners the ability to spin up demo versions. Now, if you just take, let's take a round figure of 5,000 partners worldwide, each with 5 employees, you're already looking at 25,000 people, each spinning up 6 different demo instances. That's 125,000 demo instances. So obviously, the bigger the database, every megabyte that database grows with times with, say, 125,000 is actually quite a bit of size. So I suppose in the cloud-based version, Microsoft has opted to reduce the demo database a little bit. I have found this to be a little bit of a problem when going into presentations and having to present the product, especially those of you that might be used to demoing the product for a while. I still keep a copy of the on-premise version available, just because I have found that with fixed assets, service management, manufacturing, a lot of the modules, there's not much demo data in the actual cloud-based version for us to be able to show. The cloud-based version is there, we're able to show it, but of course with the cloud-based version, we just don't have that demo date. So always keep a backup copy of an on-premise version just so you're able to show this. The second thing is, if you're actually demoing the cloud-based version, actually getting set up, and this is fun. So, and I know why this is. Let me just get a new incognito window. And I'm actually used to using let's just get this closed over there and reopened. Sorry, guys. And this is, there we go, there's my Business Central web client. So I'll actually carry on the rest of the presentation just on the on-prem version, because I've got two different versions running, and obviously the authentication actually got mixed up between the two. I should have run the one version in an incognito window, but in the rush just to try and get online, I just didn't have the time to get all of that going. So one of the other things that is not possible with Business Central, with the cloud-based version, it's a lot easier to set up all the types of things that you actually want to demo. So I've actually been trying to get my Power BI set up on this on-premise version, and it is actually quite a bit of a story. What I've had to do is I've had to go onto Azure Active Directory, I've had to create a new app, I've had to create a new key over there, I've had to set up a lot of different things, and I'm not actually even quite there where I can get the Power BI reports working on the on-premise version. Whereas with the cloud version, getting the Outlook integration, getting the Power BI, getting the Office 365 integration, getting all of that type of stuff to work is absolutely a breeze. It's literally next, and you're off and running. So when you go to your setup and extensions over there, and you go to your assisted setup on the on-premise version, setting up things like your business inbox and Outlook and some of the rest of the stuff is actually quite a cumbersome task, and it's quite a thing to get going. There's a couple of these things I've been trying to set up. You can see over there my Azure Active Directory. I've only recently been able to actually just get that going, and I needed to get this set up just so I could get the Power BI reports on premise. The amount of work that's involved in actually getting these things up and running. And of course, remember, if you're actually selling, because remember the on-prem version, you can sell in two different flavors as well. You can sell it in the perpetual license model, or you can sell it on the subscription license model. So on those two models, if you're selling it on a subscription basis, remember that you still need to keep server infrastructure, you still need Windows licenses, and you still need SQL licenses and the like. Remember that with the new version of Business Central, where your SQL licenses was included in the past in your NAV licenses, it is no longer included with Business Central. So not only do you need to keep all of that running, you also need to keep the server infrastructure and everything for that running. So yes, subscription is cheaper than the cloud-based version. There's a lot of other costs that you need to keep track of as well. Some of the other things to keep in mind as well is that with the on-premise version, you actually have the ability to change the Microsoft code. So if there is something that the product does that you're not 100% happy with, you have the ability to actually go into the code, and even if there are errors in the code, and there's one or two things that I recently did for a partner as well, that was things that we actually went into the actual code to fix certain things where they wanted things to work a little bit differently. That is possible with the on-premise version, but it's not possible with the cloud version. But with certain limitations, remember comes some challenges. So but with these limitations, you just got to reapply your mind. Initially, we thought there was no way we could do this with a cloud-based version. But after applying our minds to it, sitting around thinking about it for a little while, we actually found some workarounds, and we were able to do what we thought was impossible on the cloud-based version just by actually analyzing the different events that got triggered by the cloud-based version. And then writing some code in certain events to happen at certain times. And we were able to achieve exactly the same thing, which we initially thought was not going to be possible. So if we're looking at the differences between the cloud and the on-premise version, Sorry, with being rushed, I didn't do a proper introduction. So let's just have a review at what we've done so far. We've had a look at the differences in the data between the two versions, first of all. Second of all, we've now had a look at the coding side of things. And thirdly, the setup side of things. So those are the three things we've had a look at so far. So let's actually just talk about, sorry guys, I've just got to go back to some notes over here. With not being in my office, I don't have the multiple screens that I usually have. So just want to have a look over here. Oh yeah, the upgrade scenario. So with the cloud-based version, of course, Microsoft controls the upgrade process. So on a monthly basis, Microsoft will actually have releases onto the cloud-based version. So if you have actually done any customizations on the cloud-based version, there is a small possibility that the releases that Microsoft actually does release could break some of the code that you have actually written. So you have absolutely no control about those upgrades and when they get released, etc. Whereas on the on-premise version, you have 100% control, and you then actually control, but it's up to you to then actually do those upgrades as such. So if you are actually an ISV and you're writing an add-on solution, what Microsoft has done is they have given us the ability, and it's actually a requirement to write an ISV solution that you sell on the marketplace, that you actually write code into that ISV solution that does self-testing of the actual code itself. And what Microsoft will do is with every release that they have, they will pre-test your ISV solution by executing this code. And if any of the self-testing code actually fails, they will notify you that your ISV solution with the next release will break because this or this self-testing code unit has actually failed. So there are things in place for the ISVs. However, when you actually do customizations on your cloud-based version, and remember that you have the ability on the cloud-based version to go and say design. So we're not just talking about if we actually write extensions. We're even talking about if the users go into this design mode and they decide to move things around, etc. Whatever the users do over here, even though it's only from a graphical end user perspective, is they're actually doing a extension over here. What they change over here actually gets saved in the database as an extension. And this extension that they do over here, they can do for the computer, the tablet, or the phone version. They can add fields, add actions, add different parts onto the different pages, etc. And when they stop designing and save this as an actual extension, it is still just an extension that actually gets saved. So when we're talking about customizations, we're not just talking about a developer going and writing an actual extension. And if Microsoft goes and changes the same screens and things that you have made customizations to, that could have an effect on the actual product when they do different upgrades. So that's just having a look at some of the other features. Let's just have a look. And then, of course, I've spoken about the licensing, and then the keyboard shortcuts with the October release has actually now been enabled within the product. So on the cloud-based version, we now do have some abilities for keyboard shortcuts and things that we actually didn't have before. Now, let's just quickly jump on here and see if we do have any questions.
Yes, Bernie, we have already received some. So
okay. And let me just wrap up. Sorry, there's one thing that I just wanted to add on to this, and that is the ability to actually have a hybrid solution between your on-premise version and your cloud-based version. That's called this Intelligent Cloud Insights over here. And I think it was about 2 months ago when we had the October release. In this update call, I actually spoke about the Intelligent Cloud Insights, and I gave you guys a brief insight into this, where you can actually activate the Intelligent Cloud Insights. What happens is, from your on-premise version, you actually synchronize your solution onto the cloud-based version. So let me just quickly show you guys what I'm talking about. So I'm going to switch from the on-premise version onto the cloud-based version over here. And on the cloud-based version, I'm on businesscentral.dynamics.com over here. If I go into my setup and I go into my assisted setup over there, on the cloud-based version, we have set up Intelligent Cloud right at the bottom over there. And when you go to that, oh, that's an interesting one. I do not have permission. Let's just see what user I'm logged on as. I'm actually logged on as Megan. I probably need to log on as the admin user. But when you say set up Intelligent Cloud, this one was actually working a little bit earlier on. But when you say set up Intelligent Cloud over there, you just point it at the actual SQL Server where your on-premise installation is installed at, and it'll start synchronizing the data from your on-premise solution onto the cloud-based solution. The idea from Microsoft is, and this is something I've been trying to get 100% clear answers from them, but the idea is that you have the on-premise solution, it synchronizes to the cloud, and whenever you wish to switch over to the cloud, as long as the solution is properly synchronized, you just switch off your on-premise version, switch on your cloud version, and you can continue working on the cloud. But the idea behind this is to have the Intelligent Cloud Insights available for an on-premise solution. So the Intelligent Cloud Insights, of course, is only available for the cloud-based solution, not available for the on-premise solution. That's another difference between the two. And between the two solutions, if you wanted the Intelligent Cloud Insights, you have the ability to synchronize your data to the cloud. We have a partner in South Africa that has been trying to set this up for a customer, as well as I know of a couple of other partners around the European region that has been trying to get this going. I'm not 100% aware of any partner that's gotten this working 100%. I myself have just tried to mess around with getting this working with a Cronus version, but due to some security rights and problems and things with my Azure server, I haven't been able to get this going 100%. So just to recap, before we go on to the questions, the differences between the cloud-based version and the on-premise version. Firstly, you've got the differences between the data. So the demo data is not 100% available on the cloud-based version as is on the on-premise version. You have got the upgrades that actually causes differences, and you've got the setups, etc., that is easier to do on the cloud-based version, and of course the licensing and the costs that are different as well. So I'm trying to talk while I am actually busy reading at the same time over here. I see a question there about GDRP. Remember, GDRP actually, yes, would be a difference between the two as well, as GDRP applies to the person that deals with the data. So if you're going onto the cloud-based version of Business Central, that person dealing with your data is actually Microsoft. So it's Microsoft's responsibility to ensure GDRP compliance, etc. Whereas if you go into the on-premise version, that duty falls upon whoever hosts that actual data. I actually, at the EMEA conference, I did not attend any sessions on GDRP. I don't know if there were any sessions, but I'm not sure if there's any specific new functionality as with regards to GDRP. Yes, actually, there is some new functionality in the product with regards to GDRP. Now that you mention it, I did actually see functionality in the system with regards to this. If you do go into, now I'm trying to remember exactly where on what screens I've actually seen those. Let's just go on to a customer and just open a customer card over here. Sorry guys, I'm just clicking through a couple of things over here. We've got a question over here about GDRP, and I have actually seen some new fields that I know has to do with GDRP. I'm almost certain I saw those new fields on a customer card. If anybody else knows the answer to that one, please just let us know in the chat window over here. But I'm going to have to get back to, I see Alexander asked the question. If someone can just get Alexander's details, and then maybe we can get back to him on that specific question. Could you customize the menu from the personalization option? I actually have not tried that. The only thing that I've done from the personalization option is actually add fields onto tables, etc. But if you're talking about whether we can customize this menu at the top over here, I haven't actually tried that. But if we go into the personalize option over there, let's go more. I did see, and now I don't see the same things over here, but now I just see add fields. But I did see that you could add extra pages, so probably adding buttons to pages. Whenever I've demoed this, whenever I've needed to add fields, etc., it's always been adding fields to existing either list forms or card forms. So I haven't tried adding any new menu options to the personalization option, but that's something that, Roberto, I'm going to have to go and test and just get back to you on that one as well. Roberto, could you change the see more fields as a user? Just to, you might be referring to on the role tailor client. So on the role tailor client, yes, if you go onto and you right click at the top, you can choose certain columns, and only certain columns over there are available for you to choose. Only if a developer has added a certain field onto the page will you have the column available here for you to choose. The personalization option doesn't have that limitation. So when you go to the personalization option over there, and now my Business Central, let's just open the on-premise version again because my cloud-based version is having an internet moment over there. So let's go on to customers over there as an example, and let's open a full list over there. So if I go into the personalization or the design option over there, you don't have that limitation that you had in the past. So if you right-click over there and you say choose columns, it's not only the columns that the developer added onto the screen. As far as I understand, this would be all the columns, but it doesn't seem to be. That is actually quite interesting. So yes, once again, it's only the columns that are available on the actual page itself. I actually thought that it would be all columns are available for you there, but only the columns that the developer has actually added in the background. No, it seems you're absolutely right. It's only those columns that are available, because I do see some columns in the customer table that are not available over there. Can you extend the number of lines in a sales order in the cloud version of web client, or the lines shown? Okay, so I know what you're referring to over there, and yes, it does actually present a little bit of a problem. So when you go into the sales orders over there and you open a specific sales order over there, the amount of lines shown over there. So see, on my screen at the moment, there's only 4 lines shown. So let's say if I hide the invoice details at the bottom over there, and then I go back up to the general tab and I hide the general tab over there. The second you hide more and more tabs over there, more lines will actually become available. So my screen resolution, I've actually reduced quite drastically just for this call. I didn't want the screen resolution to be too small, but it's going to depend on the size of the screen that you actually have. But if a user starts expanding more and more tabs, the screen will automatically adjust and reduce the number of lines that are actually shown to you. And then what a user can do is actually, by just collapsing the different fast tabs, more and more lines will actually become available. But in general, you will need a bigger screen space. Of course, you have the F11 key. If I press the F11 key, it takes my app into a full screen mode. And I do actually every once in a while, if I require more lines, I do go into a full screen mode with a higher resolution, and more lines do actually become available to me and shown to me over there. It's just my screen resolution is too low to show at this point in time. I don't know if there's any shortcut key available for minimizing the fast tabs. No. Let's see, we're on 30 minutes now. Is there... I'm more than happy to carry on answering questions.
Bernie, if you want to unmute, I think it's good for closing now. For all who have raised questions, thank you so much for participating and sharing your questions with us. I really appreciate it. So we know exactly where are the questions and where we can join in. Everything has been asked in this session, and not all the questions, I'm afraid, we couldn't answer in this session, but we will collect these, and as soon, or if we have an answer ready, then we can reply on that one. But we will make sure that everybody will have his answer. I have seen some questions around licenses. I remember I really want to encourage you to also, if there are more questions regarding to the licenses and the changes which Microsoft has done at the 1st of October this year, we have our QBS Open Office hours, and these are special for interactive with our participants, so you can raise your questions during the session. I really encourage you to join the session as well. Okay, what I already have mentioned is that this session has been recorded, and of course it will be shared for those who wanted to see it again and to listen once again, and for those who could join, they are able to see it on demand. And of course, as QBS Group, we want to plan these sessions also for the coming year 2019, and we are now busy to get all the planning ready, and as soon as we have all the dates planned for the coming year, we will share it with you. So hopefully we will see you in the next year, and so we are happy to share all the knowledge which we gather and wanted to share with you. And well, for now, Bernie, I really appreciated your talk and your update around Dynamics 365 Business Central. I know it was a little bit harsh to get connections, but I'm really glad that it's all has all been ready. And yeah, for now, I want to thank you all for joining, and hopefully see you in the next year on the next Business Central update webinar. Thank you so much.